It's Wolf, and I bought a cheap capture card from Walmart. So the video that you guys are seeing right now is video that I recorded before actually, and my voice I recorded later on. Didn't feel like setting up my lapel mic when I was doing the unboxing for this, so the video might be a little bit disjointed, but I'll try my best to work with it. I paid about $20 or $25. I think it was about $25 for this capture card. And this is not one of those situations where I bought it from Walmart.com. Sometimes I see videos where people are like, I bought this thing from Walmart, or I couldn't believe that Walmart was selling this thing, and they buy it from Walmart.com. Well, Walmart.com works kind of like Amazon Marketplace, where there's third-party sellers, but this capture card I actually bought in an actual Walmart store, which means that Walmart themselves have been selling these. Although I have been into that Walmart since then and I haven't seen this for sale, but they were at least at one point selling this. This is the Monster capture card. I don't believe there's a specific model name for it. It just says Monster, and I think that's the brand, but I'm not really sure. But anyway, it says that it has a pass-through for 4K at 60 FPS and that you can record 1080p at 60 FPS, so that's full HD. And plug and play, no drivers, so there's no software or anything like that. Inside the box, it's just a metal box pretty much. It's not any bigger or smaller really than an Elgato. I'm going to be comparing it a lot to Elgato products in this video just because Elgato is kind of, I guess, the staple capture card, at least that I've been using for a long time. So it comes with the actual capture card. It's made out of some sort of metal. I'm not sure exactly what kind, but the good news is it doesn't seem like it'll keep fingerprints too bad, so that's nice. And it comes with a USB-A to USB-A cable, which is really strange. Not that many devices use USB-A to USB-A, and right now I just want to give a warning. Do not plug USB-A into USB-A on other devices. Don't just randomly plug this wire into other things because you can accidentally end up breaking stuff just because I've looked it up online. It's not a good idea unless you specifically know the devices that you're plugging in are built to be used this way. So don't plug that wire into other stuff. So compared to other capture cards, the only thing that it's really missing that I can think of is an HDMI cable, because if you're capturing gameplay, you're going to need two HDMI cables. You're going to need one from your console to the capture card and then from the capture card to your TV. So you may need to buy another HDMI cable with this if you don't already have one, but HDMI cables are pretty cheap now anyway, so that's not really a huge deal. And given that this is so cheap, I think you're still going to be saving money so far if you're buying this rather than one of the more expensive capture cards. Also, one other thing before I talk about the gameplay that I'm showing right now, I just wanted to mention that this capture card also has a microphone input and a headphone output built right into the card itself. So if you have a microphone that uses a 3.5 jack, then you can plug that in and use that there. And also, similarly, if you have headphones that can use one of those as an output, then you can listen to your stuff through that as well. Now, I didn't test those because I don't tend to need to use those for my setup, but it is nice to see that they're there because not all capture cards have inputs and outputs like that, and it can be helpful when recording some stuff. But as for usability and comparison, I was trying to think of how to compare this, and I thought the best way to do so would be if I did a race in Gran Turismo 7 and then recorded the replay of it with both my Monster capture card and with my normal Elgato 4KX, which is the capture card that I use for most stuff. Now, this is a little bit of an unfair comparison because the Elgato 4KX can record in 4K 60 FPS, whereas the Monster can only record in 1080p at 60 FPS, but that is one of the drawbacks of the Monster in general, is that you're not going to be able to record in 4K. So I will say though that this capture card does not lie. It does seem to be able to do 1080p at 60 FPS without any issues. I plugged it right into the same setup that I use with OBS for my Elgato, and it was able to work fine. I just had to set it up in OBS. But 1080p 60 FPS recorded fine, and likewise when I checked my TV to make sure that my TV was getting a 4K input, it said that it was getting 4K input, so the pass-through works through as well. And so I do just want to mention that in terms of recording in 1080p, I know that there's some people that might be kind of disappointed in the fact that I can't record in 4K, but in my own experience, I'll say that I think 1080p is still fine for a lot of applications, especially YouTube videos. It is nice to be able to record in 4K. I like to be able to record my stuff in 4K just because it is the highest video quality that a lot of consoles output right now. But at the same point, if you're just starting out on YouTube, if you're looking for a cheap capture card to record your gameplay, 1080p is probably fine, and especially also if you're playing any older consoles, which, by the way, stay tuned because this card does something very important with some older consoles, namely the PlayStation 3. So keep that in mind. But anyway, if you're recording older consoles too, like PS3, anything earlier than that, or even base models of PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, this will work fine. fine. And even if you're recording something that's newer, it's fine to record in 1080p. Not that many people are going to notice, especially because so many people watch stuff on their phones, and I don't really think people will care that much, honestly. And also, if you're using this to stream, especially, a lot of people only stream in 1080p. Most people don't stream in 4K, so that's another thing to keep in mind. So I should mention, though, I don't know how I'm going to edit this video together yet, but at some point here, I will have it showing comparison of this gameplay recorded with the monster versus the gameplay recorded with the Elgato. And honestly, they both look pretty similar. I actually had trouble after I recorded these trying to figure out which one was which because I didn't label them at first, but I was able to figure it out based on what time I recorded them. But they look really, really similar. The main difference is just going to be the resolution thing. The monster's resolution looks a little bit worse because it is a lower resolution. It looks a little bit softer and more kind of, I don't know, just lower resolution. It's kind of hard to, it's like crumbly, I guess. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it's going to look a little bit worse because it is recording in lower resolution. But overall, it still records in 60 FPS, and it also still is a live like feed through, so you don't really get any input lag. I didn't notice anything when I was recording, and I did play some also while playing like through the monster. Didn't really notice any input lag or anything. So overall, this really does kind of everything I would need a capture card to do. And I want to mention how easy it was to get this set up. So as I said, this doesn't have its own software for recording, so you're going to need to use a different software. I used OBS. I think almost everybody uses OBS at this point for any sort of streaming and recording. OBS, it's easier to set up now than it once was. It's still a little bit complicated, but it has a lot of auto settings and stuff, so it's not that hard to get set up. But if you've never recorded anything before with a capture card, just keep in mind that OBS and a lot of recording software can be a little bit weird to get set up. But when I plugged this in, it was recognized immediately, and it just worked right out of the box. And I've got to say, that was really nice, because as much as I have been a fan of Elgato stuff, and I've been using Elgato stuff for a while, Elgato has kind of almost gone down in quality a little bit with its ease of usability. With my current Elgato 4K X that I use, I have a Mac Studio that I record on, and it's always wonky. Like, it never really wants to work quite right. I usually have to unplug it and then replug it back in order to record things. Sometimes OBS doesn't want to pick it up until I restart OBS like 2 or 3 times. But with this monster capture card, it picked it up immediately. I didn't have any issues getting it set up. It was actually easier to set up than my Elgato was to set up. And that brings me to the last thing that I wanted to mention in this video, which is HDCP, High Definition Copyright Protection. If you record videos from consoles, this is probably something you've run into before, especially if you record gameplay from older consoles, namely the PlayStation 3. It is a form of copyright protection that's pretty much put in place to stop piracy of Blu-ray discs and I think DVDs, but mostly like Blu-rays because they're HD. And so in some scenarios, it can pretty much cut off the video output of your console through certain devices. On newer consoles, they've fixed this problem by just making it a switch in the console settings. So if you turn it on, then you can still do gameplay and record gameplay and everything. And the only thing is you won't be able to open apps like Netflix or other video apps. But if you turn it off, then you can open stuff like Netflix or whatever, but it won't let you record. So that's how that works. PlayStation 3 in particular, though, struggles with this because PlayStation 3 doesn't have a switch for HDCP because it's probably just because it's old. So if you want to record in HD from PlayStation 3, you have to use component cables, which look kind of fuzzier than HDMI, or you have to use something like an HDMI splitter or whatever, something that kind of quote-unquote doesn't respect HDCP. And the Monster Capture Card turns out to be a device like this. If you plug your PlayStation 3 into it, it will record it fine without having to use any sort of workarounds or anything. So that's really nice because it makes it way easier to record from PlayStation 3. PlayStation 3 is my favorite console. I have a lot of video ideas and stuff that I want to record on there. I've recorded a lot of stuff on there already, and it's always kind of a pain to record from it because of the whole HDCP thing, but this makes it a lot easier, and I can definitely see myself using this to record from PlayStation 3 and stream from PlayStation 3 more in the future. But that being said, I do just want to say expressly, don't use this capture card for piracy. I know that a lot of people say, like, don't use this for piracy, wink wink, but no, seriously, don't use it for piracy. I don't support piracy. I know that's kind of a controversial opinion in some ways, especially like if you're into game preservation like me, but I don't think piracy is a good thing. I don't really think it benefits people that much as much as some people would argue that it does. Either way, this wouldn't even be game piracy anyway, this would be movie piracy, and I think there's even less of a reason for that. Also, if this ended up becoming a device that got used for a lot of piracy stuff, then there's a chance that it would eventually be taken off of sale, and that would be annoying because it is actually a really good entry-level capture card. And that's pretty much everything that I wanted to say about this capture card. I do think it is actually a really good deal. I think that for $25 it performs really well, and if you're looking to start recording gameplay or streaming, or maybe if you already have a YouTube channel but you like upload stuff right off your console or whatever, this could be a good next step. I think that it does literally everything it advertises on the box, and it does it well, plus with the added benefit of making it easier to record stuff from like consoles like PlayStation 3. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you in other stuff in the future. You'll probably see me use this capture card in the future to record stuff from PlayStation 3. So thanks for watching, and bye-bye.